February 21st, 2025. It's a slow news days. We're going to talk graphics cards, man. You're listening to Super Gamecast Daily, your source for video game and video game industry news. My name is Aaron. Doing Ginyu Force poses over here is Bronson. How you doing, dude?
I'm doing good, man. I'm having a good time, as you could have saw. It's one wildly slow news day. Before we get into the little industry news we have, we kind of got some channel news going on.
Oh, do you want to jump into that first? All right, let's go.
Yeah, let's get that out of the way for the 10 people on the RSS feed.
Yeah.
So a couple things. We are trying to grow this. We want to make this into full-time content creation. And the Daily Show is great. We love doing it. We think it's an amazing idea. Legitimately. However, it eats up basically all of our free content creation time. Like all of it.
For two full-time working people, it can be done. But when you're talking about trying to, make things happen and you want to use your time smartly and efficiently, we've done this now for a little while, and we realize there's a better way to do this for our end and still deliver some good stuff for you guys on your end. So we're gonna make the change.
Yeah. So starting on Monday, no Daily Show for a good long while. We're back to weekly, but the weekly show is going to be far more focused than it was in the past. We're capping it out at 2 hours, unless it's like a Summer Games Fest or a Game of the Year show, something like that.
Yep.
We're just kind of focusing on, honing in on, because what the feedback that we got from the Daily Show is, I love how focused it is. I love how in depth it goes. Sometimes I actually want more of it. Great. We'll get you the most important stuff every single week, and then we're going to continue to do clips. The clips did pretty well when we tested. In fact, we had some clips do exceptionally well. Shout out to the ARPG and Nintendo homies.
No kidding.
They came out. But with that in mind, so the way it's going to work, Sunday morning, we're going back to that, 10 a.m., doing a show that's far more focused. It's going to be 3 people. It's going to be me, Aaron, and Duncan, or me, Aaron, and Lucy, depending on what's going on there with scheduling. And then you're going to get a clip every day. And you're like, well, what are you going to use all this extra time on? You may ask.
Yeah, they're probably asking. Do we tell them, or do we let it happen?
It's going to be scripted content. It's going to be scripted, edited content that we're going to try and make into cool shit.
Yes.
I'm not going to say specifically what it is, other than more Anthony reviews is definitely part of it.
Yes.
The rest of it is going to be a surprise.
We'll see what happens, man. We have ideas, and we're moving on some of those ideas, and other ideas we're letting cook. We'll see what comes out.
Yeah, exactly. So thank you all for joining us, especially most of our new lovely subscriber fans, the almost 30 we've picked up this month. Thank you all for coming on and joining us for those clips. You're still going to get those once a day.
Yep.
Don't worry.
Yep,
those are still going to be there for you.
So
just a little more focused.
Yep.
So yeah, just kind of wanted to get that out of the way for y'all. So back to our regularly scheduled programming next Sunday.
Yes.
It's gonna be hype.
It's gonna be good. I'm excited. For now, for this final SGK Daily for the moment, it's on pause. It's not dead.
It's not dead. It's just it's going into hibernation until there's a big enough audience to support it.
Oh, what's it? The hyperbolic chamber. Hyperbolic time chamber.
Hyperbolic time chamber. It's going back. It's going in there.
So for today, for this final episode, we actually had a really slow news day. This is something that when we started doing SGK Daily, it turned out it was like we got news every day. Like we were thinking that, and then we started doing the show. And it's like, oh yeah, no, there's totally news. Like, wow, And then today, just woo, yeah. But we do have one story that Bronson, I'm gonna need you to lead me through. I'm gonna sit and I'm gonna absorb some information here.
Okay. All right. Let me pull the news story up for myself to make sure I read it correctly as well. Okay. Yeah. There we go.
This is for y'all PC gamers out here. How's it going? You got it?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. You're good.
I was reading this. I was like reading this story and trying to. I don't know. What's an ROP? I don't know, man. I go to Linus Tech Tips for this information. Man.
Yeah. Okay. So that is a render output unit, a ROP.
Render output unit, so but not so it's ROP, but it's not RAPU.
It's not RAPU.
Well, okay.
ROP or ROPs.
Fine.
Render outputs, Anyway, so ROPs, as they're often mentioned,
yes,
is basically it is the processing component that tells your graphics card, hey, this is responsible for calculating and generating the final image that you see. It's kind of important.
Okay.
And how fast and efficiently it can do that depends on how many ROPs you have. This is not a sexy selling point thing. A lot of people don't bring it up. It's not like CUDA cores or RT cores. It's not like a common occurrence that you're going to hear about much. But it does have an effect on performance. And apparently some versions of the 5090 from add-in board partners are missing some ROPs. They're missing some ROPs. Huh. They're shorting you on the ROPs.
It's on some versions.
I'm enjoying it. Yes. So, the way graphics card manufacturing works is NVIDIA will make their own, and then they'll go to like Zotac, MSI, Gigabyte, those people, and be like, "Yo, dog, we'll let you make your own version of this as long as it meets these standards and this stuff." And you can sell it wherever you want. You make modifications to it. So that's why you'll see like the Asus ROG Ally 5090 super crazy edition that's overclocked to the moon. And of course, being shorted on about 8 ROPs, you're gonna see performance differences.
Huh.
You're gonna see roughly about a 10 frame per second difference.
Wow. Okay, that's
yep.
That if depending on what your build's like, that's significant.
Yes. Now, to be fair, if you have a 5090 build that's done correctly, that's not a crazy amount, but it does affect performance. And on top of that, it also is game specific. So, the first game here that Tech Power Up tested they did Elden Ring, in which it was a 10 frame per second difference, 184 versus 174 at 4K,
okay.
which is versus Starfield, it was like a 3 frame per second difference. Doom Eternal, it was a 6. So it depends on the game. That said, it is kind of a big thing, and I'm gonna be real. There is no reason, if you are paying $2,000 or more, because these are the ones having these problems are the add-in board partners who typically cost more money. This should be a thing. This should not be a fucking thing. This is not okay for this price tier. To be fair, it's not okay at any price tier, but especially at this price tier.
Just for the money, like,
yeah,
that's wild. Because I was gonna say this is a big hit. If this were to affect all levels of the graphics card, then like what's changing is like how quickly will it affect you? Because a 5090, there aren't going to be games that are going to be hitting you super hard with a 10 frame drop. But in the future, in the not too far flung future, you will start getting hits sooner. And,
Yeah, if you have, I don't know if they're doing this on 5080 or 5070 or, whenever it comes out, 5060. I would hope they aren't, but if they are, like, on a lower end card, that's like a super big deal.
right.
And then also they put in some Time Spy 3D Mark benchmarks. It's like a legitimate 4,000 point difference, which that's like, that's significant. That's like noticeable on the leaderboard and everything for a benchmark.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all things to have in mind, and this is just piling on to the giant dumpster fire that has been the launch of the 50 series.
Mm-hmm.
This legitimately might be the worst launch of a graphics card in recent memory.
Okay.
I legitimately was like sitting and thinking, and I was talking with Anthony about this as well. Where we were like, when was the last time where it was like this much of a dumpster fire? And like we went back and forth on it, right? Like we were talking, like we were like, well, I guess the last time it was like this much of a problem might be the 400 series. But the problem there is the 400 series like performed. It was good price to performance versus this is the price to performance is the 5090. It's fairly good. The 5080 and 5070 Ti are very disappointing.
Right.
And then, hey, guess what? At least on the Founders Edition cards, there's still power connector problems.
Oh, good.
So you totally, those can catch fire. Yep, that's a thing that you have to worry about if you're shopping in at least 5090 land. And you get a Founders Edition. So there's that.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the next part, which is, yo, dog, this is a paper launch. It's basically a paper launch. You can't get it. These things have been out almost a month and you still can't get a hold of them. Like without paying scalp prices or buying a bundle. Like,
right.
This Zotac one they're actually talking about on Tech Power Up is available if you buy a combo bundle from Newegg. So if you go in and you buy this power supply I've never heard of with it,
wonderful,
or you buy a this monitor with it, and hold on, what monitor? Yeah, and that's for a 5080. So yeah, this is horrendously bad. It's once again, it's been a month. And the only way you can get one of these right now is if you're willing to pay scalper prices or you're willing to buy a combo with a power supply that just looks like a total piece of shit.
So supply is low for this thing that either has connector problems or does not really perform great for the price, especially depending on what level you're at.
Yes, currently, yes.
It sounds like right now is a terrible time to be in the market for graphics cards. I couldn't imagine anyone who's dealing with that right now.
That's me. That's me,
weird.
Unfortunately.
Geez.
Yeah.
So how are you taking this?
Poorly. Very poorly. So I'm not building this computer until November, maybe December. So I'm like keeping the idea of this build in mind, right?
Yeah.
So I know I'm putting it in like how much I need to budget and what.
Right.
And I'm not gonna lie, I got a real good laugh recently when I realized the graphics card in this thing is either to be absurdly overpriced or replaced 2 years. That's that's the conclusion I come to.
Mm-hmm.
And here's why. So here are the four graphic cards I'm really considering. All right.
Okay.
58 because I want 1080, 30, 80 seems like the obvious choice.
Mm-hmm.
Problem is the performance uplift over the 4080 like 10%. It's barely like considering it's a new generation. That's sad. That's really sad because it's supposed to be like 25, maybe even 30. This is yes, the band-aids of frame gen and whatnot are nice, but it's not ideal.
Right.
And then you also have the fact that it only has 16 gigs of VRAM.
Right.
On current games, I already cap out the 10 in the 3080 I have. And and yes, 16 is probably fine for today in most games, not all games. So that in itself is going to be a problem.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I can go kind of three different directions with this at this point. The one that is the route my girlfriend's going, because she's building a computer as well, is just saying, fuck it, we ball, and getting a 5090.
Okay.
Because that solves the performance uplift issue. It's the best performance card on the market. It wins. It beats everything.
I mean, it should, right? Yeah.
Yes, for $2,000, it damn well should. And then on the other end of that, it also it fixes the VRAM problem because it has 32 gigs of VRAM. No VRAM problems to be had here, son. But it's one. I feel like I'm just enabling NVIDIA if I do this.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like that's the first thing. Is I just feel like I'm just enabling the shittiest practices here. So that's the first problem I have with it. The next issue I have with it is the fact that, bro, it's $2,000.
That's a lot of money, man. That's a ridiculous amount of money.
It would literally be half the cost of the entire computer. From one part.
Yep.
That'd be half the cost of the whole computer from one fucking part. So that's obviously not ideal.
Right.
Okay. Third option. The 4090 performs better than the 5080. This is another problem I have with the 5080. It also has more VRAM.
Wow.
Another big win. Good boy. 4090 enjoyers, owners, rejoice. Your card gets to continue to be king shit. So yeah,
you'll have to replace it sooner, but
yes, like one. But here's the problem: it's not in production anymore.
Oh, so you gotta go find it.
That's the other issue.
Yeah.
So I have to go find it, and it is used. It's got to be a used one.
Yeah.
Now, now that said, I think that it's not horrible pricing on it currently. If you're willing to look around, I've seen them for around 1600, which I know sounds insane, but that's just the world we live in. That's just the performance tier, bro. You have to remember the 5080 is $1,000. And this thing is better than 5080.
Shit.
All right, anyway. That's
yep.
So yeah, that's the that one. And then the final option, the dark horse candidate here, that is available. You can buy one right now, right this instant. The stock is kind of in and out right now, but it's the best performing AMD card from last gen.
Okay.
It is the 7900 XT. X XTX, sorry. And it is roughly 900 to a grand.
Mm.
It has 24 gigs of VRAM. Um, it is as good as a 4080 and sometimes better in rasterized rendering. It's worse at ray tracing and all the AI stuff and the rendering stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But for the video games, it's a real good card. If you're willing to give up some RT stuff. So, all of these cards present different problems, though.
Mm-hmm.
The 5090, it is price. It is just money.
Yep.
The 5080, I have a very strong impression. It's something I would have to replace in 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever the 60 series came out, just because of the VRAM limitations and the fact that it's not much of a performance lift over the 4080.
Mm-hmm.
So that's that one. The 4090, it's just the fact that I'm going to go hunt down a used card and do the work of making sure that this thing wasn't abused, and then like cleaning it and getting it up to speed. And then, of course, because it's an older chipset on an older architecture, it's not going to be massively different, but it is going to last a year or two less than a new card would, plus whatever wear and tear the previous owner had on it.
Mm-hmm.
And then lastly is the AMD card, which I'd be losing a lot of features. I would be losing NVIDIA Broadcast. I'd have to go find a new virtual mixer. I would be losing better ray. Like that thing doesn't ray trace that much better than my current card. I'd be losing a lot of features.
Right.
That's like the end. So it's like, no matter what route I pick, it sucks.
Yep. Yep.
Like that's the saddest part, is like, no matter what road happens here, it sucks. So yeah.
When is do we know, is AMD going to come out with a new card?
So AMD they haven't given up, but they've given up for me.
Okay.
As a consumer.
Right.
And the reason why I'm saying that is because AMD, they did really well last gen. Like, I put an AMD card in my girlfriend's computer.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I put a 7800 XT in her computer. She really, really liked it. And it has, it's been a great card for her.
Yeah.
However, on that note, she also kind of wants some of the NVIDIA creature comforts back.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of why she's going that route. But they are only going to be competing at mid-range and lower for their next series.
Gotcha.
Is their problem. So they're only going to be competing at 5070 Ti level and lower.
Oh, not even 80s.
So anything that's like 5080 or higher is apparently they're giving up on it.
Wow.
That's not their game.
Okay.
Anymore. So it's unfortunate. Especially because I thought last gen they really nailed it. If you go look up 4080 versus 7900 XTX and you look at benchmarks, they're very comparable. Like you can see it. Like in you pull up Black Myth Wukong. That game heavily favors NVIDIA, but if you're willing to play it without ray tracing, it's very comparable. And then if you look at Dragon's Dogma, similar thing. They're both getting about 52 FPS. But the problem with that card is the second you turn on ray tracing, NVIDIA almost always takes a 10 FPS lead.
Right.
Across the board. It's just they have that unlocked. But like Horizon, they did a 1440p test and the 7900 XTX is winning by like 5 FPS. Silent Hill 2, you turn off ray tracing, it's not losing by that much.
Mm-hmm.
and that game is poorly optimized. Space Marines, similar scenario. It's like it's the problem is it's not outright winning in every game. Like they're trading blows back and forth.
Right.
Depending on the game. Now there are some games where Nvidia is just dominating. Like Space Marine, they got completely owned. Silent Hill was a pretty big gap. But on the other side of that, F1 really favored AMD. So it's kind of, it's kind of this thing. And then if you turn, and if the thing is like, if you turn off ray tracing, then the race becomes a lot more even, and a lot more games start to favor AMD. Final Fantasy 16, Horizon, Dragon's Dogma 2, all favored AMD, the 7900 XTX versus the 4080 Super, if you turned off ray tracing. The problem I see with that also, because part of the reason I'm building a new computer now is like I also want to have this computer that's like, I don't have to worry about anything in this machine for literal like 6-7 years. The only reason I want to open this thing is to clean it, maybe add another hard drive. Like that is the straight up only thing I have on my mind with it. So, I know that won't be the case with an AMD card because more and more games are moving to ray trace lighting, like Indiana Jones, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth require you to have a card that uses ray tracing.
Oh, wow.
Like you literally cannot, like Indiana Jones, all of its lighting is ray traced.
That's wild.
Now
okay.
the set now obviously it has settings, like it's not, like, but it's still like I would still feel more comfortable with a card that, can hang.
Sure.
So yeah. And with that in mind, it's just one of those things where the market sucks. For like this is the least fun I've ever had buying buying graphics cards.
Is it usually fun?
Like yeah, like I remember when I bought when I was young and I bought a 5700 FX, shit was dope. It was a good time. I remember when I bought my 1080, also sick.
What do you mean?
Had a good time.
We're talking about shopping for graphics cards. What do you mean? Is that experience fun? You're enjoying that?
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, dude, this thing's gonna be a massive performance uplift. There's a lot of choices in the market.
Okay.
And even when there wasn't a lot of choices in the market, like you were still like the 1080 was like, yeah, this is like a 60, like a 50 to 60 performance uplift over the 980.
Mm-hmm.
Huge uplift, and it's fucking $580.
Right.
I got it for less than MSRP, like $20, but still.
Yeah.
Now it's like, yeah, it's like a 10% performance buff, and none of it's in stock. And we're gonna short you on VRAM. Yeah.
Good stuff. And also good luck finding it. Just
yeah, and that too.
It's happening again, and with the cards being worse at the same time.
Yep, absolutely. And I understand that part of this is just the nature of, hey, we can't shrink the board anymore. Hey, we've hit the limits of physics. I understand that, but it still sucks.
Right, absolutely. So hopefully as you get closer to computer buying time, something happens. But
yes, my hope is either AMD massively overperforms with the 9070 XT.
Right.
Or at least, or people really hate this current series of NVIDIA and, like just they don't sell out once there's not a stock issue. And then everything goes back to, kind of goes back to normal and you can get a graphics card relatively easily. The sad part is I am out of all those 4 choices, I am considering the 5090 because it does check box my goal of
Right.
I just want to be done for a while.
Yeah.
On the other side of that, though, I will probably end up with a 5080.
Hmm.
I just can't justify the cost of the 5090.
It's a lot.
A lot, yeah. Now, granted, I do have the tech loving side of me does have the Green Goblin voice
Yes.
speaking in my ear. Do it, do it. You know, and I'm just like, that's a lot of money, dude. That's like, that's a lot.
Take that money you
That's what I'm.
save and put it towards the Switch too.
Put the money I save and buy probably several Switch 2s, or at least 2.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah. Oh, and then I forgot this last news story about these cards. So Nvidia, yeah, it was a lot of shit this week. Nvidia put out used to put out a software you might remember called PhysX.
Okay.
PhysX was an open source physics engine middleware as part of their GameWorks suite.
Mm-hmm.
And the 50 series cards discontinues 32-bit PhysX.
Oh.
Like, it doesn't support it.
Wow.
So if you want to check the PhysX box on those games will run like shit, even on a 5090.
Really?
Yes, it's super funny. It's only about 50. So it just happens to be from this weird crossover generation. So 32-bit is kind of what computers ran on until like 2014-ish.
Sure. Yeah.
And 2015-ish. And PhysX was GPU accelerated physics tech.
Mm-hmm.
And what it was is it was to make like physics more realistic. And there it was about 50 games that did not support 64-bit PhysX. They just did 32. And they disabled it. So now, like, if you turn on PhysX in Arkham City, or Mirror's Edge and Borderlands 2, it makes the game run like shit.
Great. Good stuff.
Yeah, they got rid of it. They didn't say why. It's apparently the CUDA drive will not support it on the 50 series and newer. It is super funny. Here are some games. Here are the games that are notable on this list. Unreal Tournament 3. Mirror's Edge.
Shit.
Arkham City, Arkham Asylum, and Arkham Origins.
Damn.
And then, by the way, it affects a lot in those games. Dynamic Fog and Steam, Terrible Cloth, Dynamic Paper and Leaves, Destructible Environments.
So I just have to not check this.
Yeah, if you're gonna play RMC, don't turn this shit on. If you have a 50 series card, on your card, it's fine. 30
good.
series, you're good. Blur,
Oh,
Mafia 2, Metro 2033.
wow.
Let's see, Borderlands 2. Just as Star Trek, it doesn't say what one.
That's weird.
Assassin's Creed 4.
Oh,
Borderlands, the pre-sequel. So it's just like all stuff released from 07 to 2014 that used PhysX and only did it in 32-bit mode.
bet sailing that pirate ship in Assassin's Creed will be real fucked up now.
If you turn this on, yeah.
Yeah.
The real funny thing with this is I love the idea of just people getting super mad about this. Like, yeah, it's annoying and it does make these games look worse. But another funny thought that I had is back in the day, and I had a friend who did this. There was a card that was a 32-bit that people would just have a second card hooked into their PCI slot to run PhysX. It was their physics graphics card.
So we're going back to these days.
It would use it was like, yeah, some people talked about it like, oh man, I wonder if you can still do that. So yeah, it'd usually be some cheap card, like you'd get like a 750 Ti, or you'd get something like just some potato,
right,
that supported it, and just the only thing it would do was render physics. You know, I had a friend did it. He had a pair of 980s and a 750 Ti, I think, doing physics. This is so long ago, I'm not 100% sure on this, but yeah, no, it was a wild fucking time.
That's funny.
Oh,
that sucks, but oh well. Let me tell you, there's never been a better time to be into console gaming.
yeah, it has its own caveats, though, as we've
talked about a number of times. But when it comes to,
it does not help that
yeah,
well, at least the PlayStation consoles will not go down in price at all.
Right. But compared to staring down the barrel of 1600 or whatever 2000.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like, look, if you are not intending to create content and you are not intending to do a bunch of shit, and you just want to do productivity and play the video games, like email spreadsheets, that kind of thing, and play video games, yo dog, just buy a console and like a $300 laptop, $500 laptop, save a bunch of money, spend that extra cash on a really good screen.
I mean, you know, there's a lot of great indie games on the Steam store, but usually those don't require anything crazy. If you're PC gaming now, you'll probably handle that.
Yeah, like, you know, and that's the thing, is like a lot of these really crazy graphics cards, like the one I'm buying, it is for AAA games.
Yeah.
And it is like, you know, when GTA 6 comes out, I want to see the craziest draw distance I can in 4K.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yep.
I want Monster Hunter Wilds to run well. So
yeah, let me tell you, I'm considering a CPU upgrade for this computer, purely for productivity purposes, as just been playing Wilds, and it's like, you know, I am bumping up against the limit of this thing, and I think with trying to stream and create content on top of running the latest and greatest, it's like, you know, I don't think I can hang, and that's fine. You know, I got the consoles, so
yeah. And the thing is like, it's like the vast majority of people who, you know, buy games on PC, play games on PC, don't have the kind of screen you need to drive this kind of card anyway.
Right.
Like, for real, like, look, if you are playing in 4K and you want 60 or higher, yeah, you're gonna need 5080, 4080, 7900 XT X, that kind of thing. But like, if you're just like, I want to play Marvel Rivals at 1080p, it's like, yeah, dude, you're fine. Just rock a 3080. You're good. 3070.
Right.
2080 even, you know, like, not bad. Like, you can get away with a lot. It's just that I am the person who invested in high-end screens because I want the full fidelity, and that is an amazing experience. I will tell everyone right now, if you can max out a game on a 4K OLED, it is the best goddamn way to play these games.
Sure.
Period. It is expensive.
Yep.
It is super expensive. The only way you can justify it in my mind is if games are by far your number one hobby.
Right.
You are doing relatively okay financially. That's it. That's the only way.
I play video games and make video game content, and that's my main thing I do. And I just don't. I know I could technically swing this. It is not the responsible thing to do, so I do not.
Yeah, no, that's another reason. Like, wait until you can.
I got a console. I got a PC with a capture card. Like, just whatever. I got it.
Yeah. Yes. Like 100%. Like,
yeah.
Yeah. No, PC market's fucked.
It's so bad, fucked. And it seems like it's getting worse and has potential to get worse.
Yeah, like I think on the low end it's pretty okay. Like on the low and mid end, it's like fine. In fact, I think that in the PC space, the most interesting thing to me right now is actually portables.
Right.
It is genuinely like portable PC. It's like the Steam Deck, the ROG Ally, those competitors. Those are by far the most interesting, to me at least.
Combination of all the spaces into one.
Yeah.
It's really cool. It's really like that's where I'm at. Is like I'm gonna ride this PC for as long as I can, and I know I got a Switch 2 coming, but I'm really looking at this Steam Deck thing. Looks cool. I'm not in the market at the moment, but like eventually I'm gonna get one of these things.
So I'm gonna tell you about the portable PC space.
Okay.
I like it. I don't think it's for everyone.
Okay.
And I want everyone to be aware of that.
All right.
I actually think for the vast majority of people, they would probably be served better by a Switch 2.
Mm-hmm.
And here's why. The amount of troubleshooting that you have to put up with is actually kind of high on every version of a portable PC.
Okay.
It's not like insane, but there is always like some caveats. Like, okay, my portable PC is the Steam Deck, right?
Right.
Like that's my portable PC that I use, and I love my I love my Steam Deck. I use it every week. Like it's a great device.
Mm-hmm.
Love it. However, any time that I want to play a game on Steam Deck, I have to go on the game page and be like, okay, is this deck verified? No. Okay, why? Because some games are deck verified and like are not deck verified, but totally run fine. It's just some like, you have to pull up the on-screen keyboard or, something like that. Or text can be difficult to read. Or it's, no, this game totally does not run at all. Don't play it. And the thing about it is Steam is not always correct when they say a game is verified.
Do they have people testing this? Are these people at Valve that are doing the testing, or are these developers like sending this info?
No, the people send this to Valve. Valve tests it, and then they say if it's verified or not.
So Valve themselves are testing it.
Yes.
Okay.
And so, like, for example, they said for ages that Dragon Ball Z Kakarot was not verified.
Mm-hmm.
I tested it. It ran fine. Ran perfectly fine. So, yeah, like my experience with the Steam Deck for a lot of games, because it runs Linux, runs a version of Linux. That's what SteamOS is. You have to go on like Steam Deck HQ and pull up. All right, did they look at this game? Okay, they did. How does it run? How did they get it to run?
This seems like the kind of thing where, I don't know, PCs are such a complicated mess. Like, I would want to, like, you can submit a report for how well this game does on your setup, and then people can search by that setup and see if it works or not, or something like that.
Now, I do think that, I will say, it's not like like a lot of games do work, especially games that are verified. You load it up, it's like, oh, this runs fine.
Mm-hmm.
Like I loaded up Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii, and it ran great.
Mm-hmm.
I do want to, however, set an expectation for people,
right?
That guys, a lot of the time this is 30 FPS, 40, 45 FPS. It is a handheld. It is a handheld. I want to make that very clear when you're playing newer games, like, like stuff that came out in the past 2-3 years. This is a handheld. You're going to get handheld performance.
Right.
So, and this is almost across the board. The ROG Ally X is the most powerful handheld around, right? Like
Right.
that's the one. And you go and you look at benchmarks, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the Ally X is like, depending on the game, not super ahead of the deck, like, and it also depends on the wattage. The Steam Deck caps out at 15 watts. The Ally X will let you go to 25, but it drains the battery super hard.
Eesh.
So if you don't want to be tethered to the wall, you're also kind of running at 15 to 20 watts. Performance wise, kind of game specific, you are going to see an uptick for sure, but it kind of depends, especially when you're on battery,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the Steam Deck is like, the Steam Deck is what I would call the perfect balance of battery to performance, versus the Ally X was like, no, we are the best performing one, but hook up to a fucking wall.
Right.
So
Great. Okay.
yeah, like that's kind of so like all the, and also in the case of the Windows handhelds, it's handheld Windows. It's horrible.
Right.
They
Yeah.
all have to create, like, it's super funny. They all have to have like these overlays to create different stuff. Like, they all have to have these fucking overlays that are meant for fucking like, we're gonna try and make it so you don't have to use Windows, but at the end of the day, you're gonna have to use Windows.
Cool.
My favorite one though has actually been someone made a Linux distro called Bazite.
Mm-hmm.
And it's basically Steam OS, but it can be put on anything.
Nice.
So you get the power of an ROG Ally, but the UI and ease of use of a Steam Deck. But then you run into the problem of a Steam Deck of shit. This is Linux. I can't play Call of Duty.
Right. Right.
and then you have to dual boot Windows, and you're back to using
And
Windows
back
sometimes.
to it. It all comes back to this god awful place.
Yes. So versus, like, we all know what the Switch 2 experience is going to be.
Yes.
You download the game, you play the game. You put in the cartridge, you use the cartridge.
Yep.
So it kind of depends on how much you're willing to fill. Me recommending these to people is, when it comes to a handheld device, because when I'm at home, I'm a lot more tolerant of tech support nonsense. Not as tolerant as I used to be. It's a big part of why I play a lot of games on console even today. But I'm still more tolerant of it than on a handheld, where, like, in a handheld, I do not want any friction at all.
Mm-hmm.
The second that you give me friction on a handheld, I'm like, I'm out.
Right.
I'm out.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the same reason. Like, I have been on iPhone for 14 years now. And a big part of that is I'm just like, I don't want to learn a new UI. This works. It's fast. It's easy. I will just wait until this thing breaks and then get another iPhone.
Yeah.
To, like, because I am not the person who lives off my portable device. I am not super like, I just want to play the game. I just want to watch the YouTube video or listen to the podcast. I want to go.
Yep.
Which is why, like, if you are that person when it comes to a portable device, I think that the Steam Deck can be hard to recommend, or any of these handhelds.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Steam Deck is the easiest one to recommend because it does have Steam OS and it can be very plug and play, because a lot of developers do have, like, Steam Deck specific settings.
Right.
Like, Cyberpunk has a Steam Deck setting.
Oh, wow.
It literally has a Steam Deck setting. And me and I remember when Anthony got his deck, he brought it over because I was considering buying one. He showed me, and, like, yeah, I was running around and playing Cyberpunk on his deck.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. So
All
Yeah,
right.
and then indie developers seem to be supporting the thing like crazy. It feels like almost every indie game I've bought in the past year or two has had deck support.
Cool. Good.
So that's been nice. And apparently at GDC, a lot of them were surveyed, and like 40% of them were saying, "Yeah, we're working on a deck game." Specifically said Steam Deck. You know,
That's the trending
like
one.
Berserk Boy, yep, Berserk Boy, Bomb Rush Cyberpunk, the new Yakuza game I just bought, Mini Shoot Adventures are all Steam Deck verified.
Hmm.
Um, yeah.
Well, all right. That's
So,
something to keep in mind. It sounds like something that I would appreciate. Like, I think I could handle it if I can handle PC troubleshooting. I don't know. It may be, but and then a lot of the games that I would probably play, where I'm laying back in my bed or something. Like, I don't think I'd be doing anything too crazy.
yeah,
But
I think that like I think if you're like gonna play indie games and more chill stuff, look up if they're deck verified or how hard it is to get them to run.
mm-hmm.
And then I would also say like they might be heavier than expected. So if you're expecting to hold it like this,
Right.
your arms might get tired.
Fair enough.
Just be kind of aware.
Okay.
These are definitely bigger and heavier than a Switch.
Right. Yeah. And these aren't things that you can like handle at a Best Buy and test out. It's like you got to order and then just like, all right.
The ROG Ally. So at my Best Buy, at least, the ROG Ally and Ally X have demo units.
Okay.
So you might be able to get your
just look up how much that one weighs and how much the Steam Deck weighs and compare.
Yeah, exactly. And then they're actually pretty comparable. I do not find the regular Ally to be comfortable, but I find the Ally X to be comfortable.
Interesting.
It's because of the way they do their outside. The Ally X is more rounded versus the regular Ally is a little more angular.
That's weird. Okay.
So I think it was a stylistic choice. And like it'll look cool if we give it fucking angles, brother.
I mean, sure. It's just yeah, I don't know. Weird. Okay.
Yeah. So all things to consider. I don't know. I'm partial to the Steam Deck also partially because of Valve.
Exactly.
I'm like, I like Valve.
It's coming from Valve. This is a Valve machine. Hell yeah. They've experimented with hardware lots and not a whole lot of successes, but man, this one.
I was just about to say Valve, who brought you such winners as the Steam machine and the Steam controller.
I think I have the Steam controller still somewhere. I want to give that a shot. It's a cool idea, and then you start using it, it's like, oh. I thought the idea itself was so cool, man. But
fair.
All right. Well, that's a lot of news. I have a couple headlines pulled up here, just to give a couple quick minutes if you want.
Yeah, sure. Fuck it.
Yo, dog.
Friday show. We do what we want. It's our rules. Prison rules here.
Well, okay. Hang on. I don't want those rules. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth coming in to stab you from the Steam release at number 3. So all that news story of like, man, it's struggling a little bit. It's getting some sales, and then it just finally debuted on Steam, and now it's a top 3 bestseller right now. So good for them.
I think that their decision to make Final Fantasy games multi-platform is going to do well for them.
Yes.
I know that's not a surprise.
Anthony was with us earlier before the shows, talking about Yoshida. Just like, yeah, why don't put that shit out on the PC? That's money. That's free money right there. There are people who are going to be on PC that are not going to leave. So,
yeah, I mean, yeah, that is partly why I've said I think Sony's PC strategy is brilliant. I think doing day and date for them on PC is stupid because they're still trying to sell you a box. Right. But like being like, yeah, put the PC version out 16 months later. I think that's super smart. And the reason I think that's super smart is because it makes it so they make more money on the back end. Because as Shuhei Yoshida said, hey, it prints money.
Yep.
Import these to PC. It barely costs anything, and we make a bunch of money. And then it also effectively acts as a giant advertisement. Combined with the fact that if someone really loves it, they might just say, fuck it, I don't want to wait the extra time to play it on PC. I'm going to go buy a PlayStation.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Because like if I was that PC guy and I played like Spider-Man 1 and finished it and God of War 2018 and they were like right around the corner, like back in 2022, 2023, I'd be like, fuck, I'll just go buy a PlayStation.
Yeah. So good for them. Let's see. This is a real quick one. Hey, Corsair was like, oh yeah, we're expecting a PC release for Grand Theft Auto 6 in early 2026, and then someone got yelled at, and then they said, we don't have any information on that. We were guessing.
We were speculating. It was speculation.
Yeah, which
even though it's totally happening. I mean, what?
that could have been speculation. The way it sounded like they got that information. Then Rockstar's like, you fucking speculated, didn't you? And then held a metal pipe, just off to the side of the stage while they said, yeah, no, that was total speculation.
Right, exactly.
So, yeah. Let's see. Here we can just take a few minutes. After becoming the worst user-reviewed game ever on Steam, Overwatch 2's recent reviews jumped to mixed, which nice. Okay.
I think that, I think there are some people giving them the benefit of the doubt of, well, they're trying.
I mean, yeah. That's the thing. So one, the people who were really negative on Overwatch but were like fans are probably too busy playing Marvel Rivals to go add more negative reviews. Whereas the people who are still giving Overwatch a shot are still playing, and thus are going to go in and kind of add their thoughts. But yeah, they from that update that I saw, those are differences. It's a different thing. It's changing. And this is the kind of thing that people are talking about when it comes to like how competition is supposed to work. The question is, will they take it to heart and keep going long term until they find something that really works? We'll see. They got a hole that they are dug in so deep that they got to dig out of.
Well, I can tell you right now, it's probably not happening anytime soon because Marvel Rivals just got 2 new characters and a new map today. And it is the most profitable game on Steam right now.
Yep.
Because everyone's buying the skins for those characters.
Yep.
I'm not gonna lie, Trenchcoat Thing was tempting.
Sure.
And it is the second most played game behind Counter-Strike.
Right, 40 million. They just crossed 40 million players.
Yep.
Crazy.
Yep. That's it. If that was a selling game, a game that could sell copies, it would make it a top 50 best-selling game ever.
Right. Yeah. It's a damn well-made game. But Overwatch now has time to try and figure out, all right, we've been outplayed and people aren't going to come back to us anytime soon, so we need to come up with something cool. So hopefully with time, they'll get it.
Yep.
And then we didn't talk about this on any of the podcasts this week. I'm taking a moment for myself to be excited. Tony Hawk Pro Skater announcement teased this fan spot Easter egg in Call of Duty Black Ops 6. There was a screen.
We talked about that yesterday.
Did you talk about it yesterday?
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah. All right. Fantastic. I just wanted to make sure. I want to make sure y'all know they're coming back. Skateboarding is here.
I'm stoked for it. I'm actually really hoping that it uses the exact same engine and quality of visuals that the first one did.
It was incredible.
And one, it looked great. It would probably still look great now, but mainly because, dog, I want to play that on deck.
Yeah. Yeah. That would be a good deck game for sure. March 4th, 2025. I'm looking forward to it. Reckless is still... They took the demo off after that demo fest. I have no idea when Reckless is coming out, and the Skate game is still just deep in development somewhere. Who knows? So as far as, and Skater XL and Session are fucked up. So those are messed up. And then a couple other skating games. We're not in a great place right now. So seeing that's good. I'm excited. And I think that's a show.
Oh yeah, I think that is a show. Hey everybody, thank you.
Thank you all for hanging with us. Thank you for tuning in. We are on YouTube, we are on Twitch, and we are going to continue even as we switch to weekly. Y'all, you're still gonna be getting plenty of videos. We're gonna be streaming, and we're still gonna be on the socials: Facebook, Blue Sky, TikTok, Instagram. Just search Super Gamecraft. We're there.
Twitter.
Yeah. Please be sure to give us some likes and subscribes if you are enjoying what we're doing. Feel free to comment. We like talking with you guys, figuring out what you like, what you don't. Yeah. But that's the end of another week of video game news. My goodness, there's a lot.
Lordy, it was a lot. It was both a lot and not much in our case.
Yeah, today for sure.
Yes.
But yeah.
All right, later, everybody. Bye. We love you.
We'll be seeing you Sunday after this coming Sunday.
Sunday, the March 2nd at 10 in the morning.
That's right.
Let's do it.
See you then.
See you then.
Bye.